Dear Diary, again, not a real exciting week. I think that's just kind of life for me. But we had some fun, played outside a lot. We actually had some really great days, surprisingly. It's the beginning of August, and yet we had some days in the 70s, which were amazing. So we did a lot of stuff outside and just kind of hung out, lots of baseball going on, you know, just the stuff. And I think most of all this week, I'm really pressing into that. What does trust look like in the Lord in this season of my life because of my not having a job anymore? And then this week, the most exciting thing that happened is that Nathan's car is totally done and not able to be revived. That's so thrilling. We get to buy a new car. I was just waiting until we could sink a whole bunch of money into another car when we've already sunk a ton of money into this other one. I think that's the most sarcastic thing I've said in the last year. So no job. We need a new car for Nathan, and I'm pretty frustrated and feel like, I don't know, feel like I'm just frustrated. And talking with one of my good friends about what does trust look like in this season, and I'm not there yet, and I'm mad and totally not trusting the Lord, even though he's always proven himself trustworthy. And so where am I at? Then where does that leave me in knowing where my heart is? So really trying to press into that with God and be honest that I'm struggling with that. And the crazy thing is, I know that following him or whatever isn't like everything's perfect when you follow the Lord, or everything's easy or anything. I know that, but then when the really trying times come, or the really difficult times of just having to kind of laugh at the future and say, okay, but God's gonna get this come, I don't want to do that. But why? I want to pick up and worry about this thing that I don't have control over anyway. It's crazy, and I need help. So at least I know I need help. So that's, I think, the biggest thing from this week is still trying to work through that trust issue that I have with the Lord that's totally not founded on anything. Then school starts in a couple weeks for Jackson, and this is the last year that I'll have just one in school. And doing homeschooling with just Jackson, I feel like I'm trying to just hold on to that, because next year I'll have two that I'm homeschooling, and I'm really looking forward to just one more year of just Jackson in school. But also wishing that we could have eternal summer, and that the weather would always be nice and sunny, and we would have no school responsibilities. This whole summer, I think I've set an alarm maybe twice. Other than that, I've let my kids wake me up, and we've not had plans before 10 a.m. And it's been so great. And unfortunately, life can't keep going on like that. So back to the routine of school and all that sort of thing. And thankfully, Jackson's excited about it. I was telling him that I wish summer was eternal, and he was like, no, I'm ready to get back to school, which surprises me. So back we go in a couple weeks, and I'm trying to wrap my brain and my schedule around that. I had this thought this week, which I've had before, about I'm creating my kids' childhood and their memories. And I have such great memories from my childhood. I had a wonderful childhood, and a lot of nostalgic things that I think of, a lot of warm memories that I think of, and this week was hit with, I'm creating that for 4 little people. And that's amazing, and that's really heavy too. And trying to really consider, how do I help to create a wonderful childhood for these little people while also not giving them the world and feeding an entitlement type of behavior or thought for them. But how do we create how do we do well at creating a childhood and weaving into that disciplines and hard work and all that sort of thing. And I'm just praying a lot this week about them being able to think back and think, wow, that was great, and God was always the center, and I learned a lot, and I have wonderful memories, rather than memories of like, oh my gosh, it was crazy and there were so many people and we were just always going here and there. And I don't know, just really struck with, I am in the moments of creating a childhood, and that's amazing and such a great responsibility, and so cool that God's trusted me with that.
Dear Journal, 2 things I'm thinking about this week. The first is what it means to lead in marriage from a trust standpoint. Because with my car having died this week, and the woman that the Lord brought into my life being very sensitive to financial challenges, and for whatever reason, the Lord really has blessed me with really a spiritual gift that I don't deserve, of being able to just trust Him. It's been a spiritual gift I was given when I came to Him, and it just comes easier for me than it does for Andrea, and that's not wrong, it's just different. And the downside of that is that I can really struggle in leading well, in trust. I think being a pretty analytical guy, and not myself having a difficult time with trust, I think it's easy for me to fall into that wrongful leadership trap of, God will handle it, He always has, get over it. And that's a really horrible way to lead my spouse, and it's wrong when I do that, and I need to grow in that area. And so the challenge this week for me has been to figure out, okay, how do I better empathize with how Andrea feels and connect with her on that level, but also challenge in a loving way to, hey, we are going to trust the Lord. He's never let us down, and she knows it. But how can I be better about really being a reflection of the Lord in my leadership, and not flippant or condemning in any way, but be able to just lead in a way that hopefully gives her some peace, allows the Holy Spirit to give her that peace, and prove Himself, as we move forward, as we both know He will. But that's the first thing, really, just transparently, that I feel like I've not done a great job of this week. And the other thing, sort of related to that just yesterday struck me. One of my assistant coaches and a close friend of mine has a 2-year-old son, and his 2-year-old son is like, my assistant coach is like the sun and the moon and all the stars to this 2-year-old boy. And my assistant coach's wife brought his son and their daughter to our games yesterday. And as long as my assistant coach was standing close to the fence at the dugout, his son was right on the other side, and it was okay. But the moment that my assistant coach would walk out towards the field to coach, or go to home plate to maybe warm up a pitcher, his son would freak. And the thing that struck me about that is, I felt as I was watching that, at first you're like, come on, dude, he's right there, you can see him, get over it. And you know what I thought? in that moment was, this is a learning lesson for us grown-ups that think logically like that, that's really a picture of a little boy that's just clinging to his daddy. And, we get older and we get our independence, and the problem is we don't separate that independence of, hey, I'm an adult and I need to cut the apron strings and become an adult, from I'll never be an adult when it comes to my daddy, God. Like, I'm always, you don't find in the Bible children of God and adults of God, right? You don't move out of the house with God. And as I was watching his son get really upset every time he would move away, I think, man, am I like that with the Lord, or am I cool? When there's times, as we all have, when it feels like the Lord's distant from me, or I feel like he's walked away for a season. And I know, just like my assistant coach's son, I can see him. I know he's there, but he's walked further away from me than other times. And do I go, that's fine, whatever, it's fine? Or do I long, burn passionately for that close, intimate relationship with my dad? And I'm probably more like hey, I'm a grown up, right? God, you go do your thing. I'll touch base with you. It'll be cool. That's not the relationship the Lord desires for me to have with him. And watching my assistant coach and his interaction with his little boy, it really struck me. I need to pursue the heart of that little boy. I need to realign my heart so that I'm on the verge of freaking out if I don't have that close, intimate relationship with the Lord, that I long for that to that degree. And I'm not there right now. And that impacts trusting the Lord and leading my wife well and leading my family well, because I don't have a burning passion for closeness with the Lord, and I need to grow in that. And remember that I'm not, the Lord wants me to mature in my relationship with him. But the interesting thing is, the more I mature in my relationship with him, the more desperately I realize I need him and want him in my life. And so while I might think I'm maturing because I'm figuring it out from a Christian standpoint, what that actually shows is my immaturity in the Lord. And that's what I'm thinking about this week.